What is backing up data? Backup is the activity of copying files or database so that they will preserve or restore the original data after equipment failure or data loss event. Backups have two distinct purposes. The primary purpose is to recover data after it's lost, be it by data deletion or corruption. The secondary purpose of backup is to recover data from an earlier time. Nowadays, there are many different types of data storage devices that are useful for making backups. These devices can be arranged to provide geographical redundancy, data security, and portability.
Backup data in Windows. To help ensure that you don't lose your files, you should back them up regularly. You can set up automatic backups or manually backup your files at any time. Using System Image. System Image contains a copy of Windows and copies of your program, system settings, and files. The system image is then stored in a separate location from the original program settings and files. You can use this image to store the contents of your computer if your hard drives or entire computer ever stops working. If you're using Windows Backup to back up your programs, you can have a system image created each time your files are backed up. The files can be saved on a USB flash drive, CVD, DVDs, or a hard drive. The system image must be saved on a hard drive. To back up your files in Windows using Backup Utility, open Backup and Restore by clicking Start button, then Control Panel, and then System and Maintenance, and then Backup and Restore. To create a new full backup, after you create your first backup, Windows Backup will add new or change information to your subsequent backups if you are saving your backups on a hard drive or network location. Windows Backup will create a new full backup for you automatically when needed. If you are saving your backups on CVD DVDs and can't find the existing backup disk, or if you want to create a new backup for all the files on your computer, you can create a full backup.
Open Backup and Restore, and clicking the Start button, then clicking Control Panel, then clicking System and Maintenance, and then clicking Backup and Restore. In the left pane, now click Create New Full Backup. To set the backup after upgrading from a previous version of Windows, you can backup like you will need to set up Windows Backup. If you had a scheduled backup in your previous version of Windows, this is because there are several changes in the backup program. Instead of selecting file types to backup, you can have Windows Backup data files saved in libraries on the desktop. And in default backup Windows solutions, you can choose specific libraries and folders to be backed up. You can also create a system image of your computer. To set up backup, follow these steps. Open Backup and Restore by Start button, Control Panel, then System Maintenance, clicking Backup and Restore. Set a backup and then follow the steps in the wizard. If you are prompted for an administrator's password or confirmation, type the password or provide confirmation.
How to create a Windows system backup image and a repair disk. I'm using Windows 7 today for this, and it's quite simple actually. You just click on Start, and in the search field you type in backup, and it will give you a link called Backup and Restore here at the top. Click on that link and it will open up the window of the utility to create a system image. So you can see here on the left hand side it says create a system image. So click on that, and then you can select the drive that you want to back up and the drive where you want to save the system image. Now, system image means backing everything up on the drive, and I mean everything, not just the Windows, but all your data, everything. So for example, I have a C drive that is basically pretty full, and it's about 71 gigs used up right now, and I got an E drive that I can back things up onto because it's got 200 gigs free, so that's great. You could back things up onto DVDs if you want. It'll take a while, but you do have the option. Preferably back things up onto an external drive, okay, if you have one, or a secondary drive in your machine. So here's the C drive that I'm backing up, 71 gigs used. There's the total size, and of course, wherever you back this up onto, you need to make sure that there's enough space on there. You can't back it up onto the same drive where you are currently trying to make an image from, because if that drive goes down, then obviously you can't restore from that drive. So make sure you back up your system image onto a different drive. Okay, now after you've followed through these screens, the next thing that I recommend you do after you've done the system image backup is to create a system repair disk. Okay, so this system repair disk will allow you to boot up your machine and repair or restore the system image in case you have to. Okay, so create a system image repair disk right there. Click on that link, put in a blank DVD in your DVD writable drive, and let it burn the and create the disk for you. Okay, that bootable disk. So that's only in the worst case scenario. If you really need to use that disk, you can restore things from there, restore the whole entire system image. And here are the different options. I booted up the CD and you can see the menu of different options in Windows 7 here to restore from. The third one is system image recovery. So that one basically would ask you for your drive where you backed up. In my case, I would have backed up a 71 gig system image, and it would ask for the location for that. It would find it and then take its time, of course, to restore the whole thing back. So that's basically a safety precaution in case you're wondering how to do it.
Taking backup for Linux. Some software utilities. Rsnapshot. Rsnapshot is a file system snapshot utility. It can take incremental snapshots of local and remote file systems for any number of machines. Rsnapshots make extensive use of hard links, so disk space is only used when absolutely necessary. Glasstree, the poor man's daily snapshot. Glasstree builds live backup trees, with branches for each day. Users directly browse the past to recover older documents or retrieve lost files. Hard links serve to compress out unchanged files, while modified ones are copied verbatim. A prune utility affects a constant sliding window. HDUP. HDUP2 is a backup utility. Its aim is to make backup really simple. The backup scheduling is done by means of a cron job. Is supports a include or exclude mechanism. Remote backups, encrypted backups, and split backups to allow easy burning to CD or DVD.
Basic Rsync backup overview. Simply put, Rsync is a program used to synchronize data between two locations via the internet. The advantage of using Rsync is that since a checksum is performed, only the parts of files which have changed will be transferred, not the entire file. Rsync also compresses all data packets and further reduces transfer overheads. One limitation is that Rsync backups are not recommended for users who require backups of large files on a regular basis. For example, system images such as .vhd files or large SQL databases that are renamed after every backup. Even with very fast connections, Rsync is not suitable for this purpose. For a more in-depth look at Rsync and how it works, please download our white paper from the following address. Backup Assist comes packaged with all the Rsync libraries necessary to transfer data to either a hosted or privately owned Rsync server during a backup. Today we'll be discussing in broad terms what is required to perform a basic Rsync backup. So let's begin. To avoid confusion, let's first define what we mean by the following terms. Data host. This is simply a remote machine on which you store your data. Rsync client. This is a machine that contains your working data, typically a file server that has Backup Assist installed. Rsync server. The data host becomes the Rsync server once the Rsync programs are installed. The Rsync server accepts incoming connections as well as data from the Rsync clients. There are 4 steps required to perform a successful Rsync backup. 1. First, we need to set up our Rsync server. We do this by finding a computer with Windows Server 2000 or later installed. Next, we need to download and install 2 programs, COP SSH and CW Rsync server. 2. Once these programs have been installed, we need to activate a user within the COP SSH control panel. 3. After our Rsync server has been set up, we need to set up our Rsync client using Backup Assist and create our first Rsync backup job. 4. Finally, we need to seed our first full backup, which usually contains large volumes of data.
Setting up Synology for Rsync. To enable backup via Rsync, the Rsync daemon on the Synology needs to be activated and sync targets to be defined. First, we have to activate Rsync and then create Rsync targets. Now, what is cron? Cron is the time-based job scheduler in Unix-like computer operating systems. Cron enables user to schedule jobs, commands or shell scripts to run periodically at certain times or dates. It is commonly used to automate system maintenance or administration. Cloud computing, a remote online or managed backup service, sometimes marketed as cloud backup, is a service that provides users with a system for the backup, storage, and recovery of computer files. Online backup providers are companies that provide this type of services to end users or clients. Such backup services are considered a form of cloud computing.
You've been there. You're about to buy lunch and realize your wallet is in your other pants. Or maybe you left your keys at home. The problem is organization. You need one place for everything, like a magic pocket. Putting something in the magic pocket means it's always there, no matter what you wear or where you are. The same thing is true for computers. If you have more than one, keeping track of all of your files can be a pain. Solving this problem is one of the big ideas behind Dropbox. It's like a magic pocket, a single, secure place for all of your stuff. Let's meet Josh, who is preparing for a big trip to Africa. Right now, all of his trip info is spread across his laptop, desktop, and phone. He needs to consolidate it all and is tired of having to email files to himself or move them around with a USB drive. Then he found Dropbox, which creates a new kind of folder on his computers. These folders work hard to be exactly alike, even across Macs and PCs. By adding his itinerary to his laptop Dropbox, he can be sure the same file will show up in his desktop Dropbox and even on his phone. The same thing happens when he saves a document in a Dropbox folder. The document gets updated across all of his Dropboxes. But it's not just his computers. The Dropbox website also works to be exactly like his other Dropboxes. Anything he puts in Dropbox is available on the website automatically. This way, if his Jeep takes a dive and his computer is ruined, he can still get to his files on the Dropbox website, where they're always backed up. As it turns out, Josh's Safari was a success, and his laptop made it home with lots of videos and photos to share. Instead of emailing everything, he just shared a Dropbox folder with his mom, so she could get copies of photos she wants to frame. Because it worked so well for travel, Josh made Dropbox the home for all of his stuff, so it's accessible anytime, wherever he goes. Whether you're traveling the world, running a business, or simply organizing your life, Dropbox means you can stop worrying about managing files and backups and get on with your next adventure.